Temu has changed online shopping for the worst, with their low quality products, insanely cheap prices, and complete lack of transparency. They have set the bar so low that even sites like Etsy are struggling to keep up. It has never been harder to know what you're getting when you go to your checkout online, and today we're going to explain what happened. All right, so if you don't know what we're talking about when we say Temu, then you should probably just hit pause on this video, go back to our Temu video and watch that one to get caught up to speed. But the general idea is that Temu is basically like if Alibaba and Sonic the Hedgehog had a baby, and that baby was a website that sells cheap mostly from China. Their launch back in 2021 was a pretty huge deal because they were very successful at getting people to compulsively buy stuff that they didn't need. The whole website is mostly just novelty knickknacks, strange tech products that are weirdly large for some reason, and a couple of years later, we're really starting to see how their impact on the culture and expectations of online shoppers has played out. Now, obviously, Temu is not the only character in this story. They are sort of like the final boss of online consumerism in this version of the game that we're all seemingly playing. Because since the internet was born, buying and selling stuff was one of its primary features. Over the years, we have seen a lot of marketplaces come and go to help ease the transactions between buyers and sellers, and each has had their own impact on how we shop today. All of this has built, though, to the Temu consumerism nightmare that we are stuck in right now. But perhaps the best way to show you of how much things have changed when buying online is through the story of a competitor, Etsy. Etsy's founders wanted to create an online platform for crafters to sell their goods. If you were looking for something bespoke, unusual, or handmade from a real artisan, this was the place to go. Their tagline is, to this day, keep commerce human. And just pin that in your brain for later in the video. Now remember, this is back in 2005 when YouTube itself was just starting. And yet within 2 years, Etsy had nearly 450,000 registered sellers who generated $26 million in annual revenue. That's crazy. And listen, we need to clarify something right off the top here. Etsy is a great idea, and it has been a huge success to the people who have used it. Very much like YouTubers who make their entire living off of content creation on this platform, there's a lot of artisans who have made it big on Etsy and have been able to grow and sustain their businesses on that platform. For example, with over 1.8 million sales since their launch, Planner Kate holds the crown for the most successful Etsy shop ever. Based in Ohio, Kate sells an assortment of planning stickers to keep things organized. Because like how this channel wouldn't be possible without YouTube, Etsy has been a launchpad for a bunch of really cool and creative people to make a living from their art in ways that they couldn't have before the internet. It's still kind of hard to believe that we can make this content and just like post it online for you and make a living from it. Now, of course, I have to say that YouTube is great and we do make the bulk of our money from AdSense here on this platform. But if you want to support what we do here to make sure that these kinds of videos continue to come out every single week, we do have a Patreon account where you can support this channel more directly. But unlike YouTube, which I would say has actually done a pretty incredible job of keeping its creators happy, it's very clear that there has been a big shift in how Etsy operates over the years. See, like any e-commerce platform, Etsy has a huge advantage in the sense that it doesn't have to handle the merchandise, and it basically lets all of the independent sellers do the burdens of storing inventory, shipping, and dealing with customer service. And that leaves Etsy with the tricky balancing act of keeping its sellers happy while increasing the revenue that it earns from them, which was going pretty well, honestly, it seems like, until the company went public in 2015. Today, none of the original founders remain with the company, and it has almost completely transformed from what it was originally marketed to be, which was a place for real, living, breathing people to sell their work online. The company's slogan pretty quickly went from keeping commerce human to return revenue to shareholders. Because here's the thing, Etsy is just another billion-dollar tech empire masquerading as an online boutique. As competition increased and the culture of online shopping became more and more about how you could get the most stuff for the least amount of money, Etsy lost their roots. And this is the TEMU-ification of online shopping that we're talking about. Remember, Etsy and Amazon and Temu and all these other platforms make money off of their sellers. And perhaps unsurprisingly, the number of sellers on Etsy has skyrocketed since the early days, and Etsy is also finding more ways to make money from those sellers. Fees have been going up all over the place, and there are multiple Reddit threads and social media posts of Etsy sellers just fed up with the platform in general. Honestly, I had no idea that this was all going on, but there are a lot of angry people making videos about it on TikTok.
When your account has been suspended, they make it nearly impossible for you to find an actual human being to talk to.
I left Etsy because it's just impossible to reach beyond the people who are drop shippers and the people who do print on demand.
But probably most importantly, Etsy doesn't seem to vet their sellers to ensure that they fit within the company ethos. As a result, it has been flooded with mass-produced, low-quality garbage. People are finding things that they thought were handmade by some crafty little Karen on AliExpress, complete with the exact same images. Sellers are also in a tricky spot because with so many competitors mass-producing copycats of their work and selling them way cheaper, they really can't stand a chance. But perhaps one of the most frustrating parts about all of this is that most people have no idea that this is happening because Etsy has such a long-standing reputation of being the wholesome, organic, locally made, artisanal version of Amazon or whatever. The reality is most people are simply looking at price and nothing else when they go to Etsy for a gift, so they just assume that if it's on that platform, it must be legit, so why not just go for the cheapest option? And there might be some of you out there saying, Levi, what you're describing is dropshipping. And yes, you're actually completely right. I love that you got there before me, honestly, and that means that either you've been watching a ton of our videos or you just have a natural pessimism about our consumer world. And if that is the case, maybe you want to write for us. There's an email linked in the description. If you are interested, just send Lou an email and maybe we can work together. But this is where Temu's influence really comes into this, okay? Because while dropshipping has been a thing for a while now, of course, Temu's platform is built entirely on the premise, and it really leveled up the craziness of this trend. Basically, dropshipping, for those of you who don't know, is when sellers buy directly from suppliers and manufacturers who then ship orders directly to consumers. They're basically like a little middleman instead of a big middleman. And listen, it sounds fairly innocent, right? I mean, people need to buy things and people need to help those people buy things from the people who make things. And maybe it's a good service that is just kind of necessary, right? But what this means in reality is that anyone can become a dropshipper and start selling products anywhere they like. As long as you have a relationship with a supplier, you can sell their stuff anywhere you want, under whatever name you want. So that means that you could sell on a variety of websites or even under multiple business names on the same website. And the main issue here is that the people who are dropshipping most of the time are not particularly passionate about the products that they are selling. They're doing it to make money. And listen, there are whole websites and online gurus who will tell you how to make hundreds of thousands of dollars selling stuff to people online. These are like the stock traders of our consumer world, scheming and manipulating online shoppers to make money however they can without really adding any value themselves. And weirdly enough, many sellers looking to start a dropshipping business use Etsy as their primary sales channel because it commands the highest prices. But most dropshippers will utilize as many platforms as they possibly can to sell their products. And this is why you're finding the exact same daisy earrings on Etsy, Temu, and Amazon simultaneously. These products are the furthest thing from handmade as can be because dropshippers just look for the supplier who will make the products for the least amount of money. They don't care who's making them, they don't care about the conditions they work in or the quality of the product itself, or even if it gets to the person who bought it on time in some cases. And what's even more frustrating about all this is that a lot of these products are knockoffs of true handmade goods. Even if a small artisan is able to break through the noise and sell some pieces relatively successfully, their creations and designs are likely to get ripped off by dropshippers, and then the dupes of the product show up for sale through other shops on the same platform at a fraction of the price. What's even more annoying is that Etsy gives the impression that it doesn't allow dropshipping on its platform, but the internet is literally full of how-to guides to get around any policies on the platform that are supposed to stop dropshipping from happening. And hey, listen, if I'm feeling a little salty, a little resentful, I might even say that Etsy really doesn't give a shit. Because here's the thing, whether or not an Etsy seller is a legitimate craftsperson or a dropshipper in disguise, it really doesn't matter. Because whoever it is that's selling the product on Etsy, they still make a cut. So why would they be incentivized to stop dropshippers from selling stuff on their platform, right? But here is my follow-up question. As more and more people start to notice that there aren't actually as many handmade goods on the platform anymore, it may lose its advantage over its competitors. I mean, why pay $20 for the same earrings that you can find on Temu for $2? Eventually, Etsy will become just Temu in a slightly different font. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us as shoppers, right? Well, you need to start shopping in different ways. Temu may have taken over the internet and ruined so many beautiful things that we once loved, but you still need to buy stuff. So what do? Firstly, I want to just say that Etsy is not dead and gone. You can still find a ton of artists who use Etsy, but you might have to spend another 20 minutes figuring out if you're buying the real thing from the actual human being or some weird knockoff, terrible garbage version from somebody who's just looking to make a quick buck. But there's also been a bunch of alternative sites that have been popping up in response to this. Actually Handmade, My Community Made, and Finibly, which apparently isn't available in Canada yet, are all options that are out there in the world trying to help you buy actual things from actual people. And honestly, the best option for anyone out there really genuinely interested in supporting local people is to go to a local craft fair or a farmer's market, or just look up the thing that you want in the city that you live in, and then you'll probably be able to find somebody who is passionately creating things for people like you. The internet is literally built to help people buy more things, so the very least that I think we can do is put in a bit of effort to make sure that we're buying good stuff that we actually care about from people who are wanting to make a difference. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see more content from us, remember, you subscribe, you like the videos, we'll get popped up in your newsfeed more often. And if you do that, then we will see you every week for another upload. Bye.